Okay, we have to stop talking so much now.
And furthermore,
There's our vice chair. We need a vice chair tonight. Leslie will be out. Our chair is absent. There she is. Great.
Hi, Don.
Hi, Rachel. Good to see you.
You to see gallery. You can see who's on. But how do I get you to gallery? There you go. Now you can see everybody. Okay. So when you,
Oh, there I am. Oh, you had me covered.
okay, so they have. the
Hello,
audience.
everybody.
Yeah, you should hear them.
Oh, there's Yolanda. Okay. Here comes our last committee member.
Okay, can we start the, hello, everybody. Can we start the meeting? Oh, Yolanda.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Scott, can you lead us?
yes. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance
To the
to
flag
the flag of the United States of America
stands
and to
one
the republic
republic
for which it stands,
stands
one
indivisible,
nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty and
liberty and justice
justice
for all.
Rachel,
Yes,
I'm going to reintroduce Veronica Munoz Noriega. She helped us with our minutes at our last meeting. Veronica, can you help us take roll call? Or do you want me to do that?
I could do it. Do I just say the names? And
Yeah, wait for a response.
okay, so Scott Frios,
here.
Yolanda Delgado,
present.
David Medeiros,
Here.
Rachel Ponce,
here.
Don Reynolds,
Here?
and Charlie Bedoya.
Right here.
And
Thanks, Charlie. Bedea.
hello. And do I say Leslie Jordan's name, even though she won't be able to be present?
All right, so she has an excused absence today.
Okay.
We got Scott too. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda. Do we want to do this review or just go into the guest speaker?
Yeah, that's fine. You can go, yeah, whatever you like, Vice Chair. We can go right into the guest speaker and the guest speaker's guest.
Okay. Okay, our guest speakers are Charlie Bedoya, sorry.
Hi, can you guys
Hi.
hear me all? Okay, can everyone hear me okay?
Mhm.
My name is Charlie Bedoya. I was the acting fire chief, but I'm still the fire marshal. So we have Chief Bob Martin Del Campo. He just came back today, so we're kind of ease him into all the duties that we have going on and all the stuff that we got going on. So hopefully that we can answer your questions. Thank you for inviting us to this meeting. I guess we'll start off with talking about the fire department, what we do and who we are. Correct, Don?
Did you want me to bring those slides up, Charlie?
Sure, we could bring up the slides.
Hold on.
As you're bringing them up, and we can just talk about it, you know, San Juan
Sure.
contracts with the Hollister Fire Department for fire protection services, as well as San Benito County contracts with the Hollister Fire Department. So we did enter in that contract, I believe, back in 2013. And right now we're under a 10-year contract that got extended on in addition, but we're in a contract right now. So San Juan Bautista Station 4 is our west end of the county station. And we have 3 other stations, a station 1 in downtown Hollister, a station 2 out on Airline and Union, and then we have a station 3 that feeds the north end of the county. So right now we have four full-time stations within the local response area, the LRA, within the county area that responds to. And we're a all hazards department. So like it says on there, our main goal is the protection of life, property, and the environment. You know, we're all safety and officers right there, but like we got to keep in mind our central duty and our number 1 priority is to deliver the best possible customer service. We could go to the next one, Don.
Sure.
So in this fire contract, I'll just say that the city of San Juan Bautista probably provides about $300,000 a year for fire protection services with the Hollister Fire Department. The county is looking at about $2 million that they pay for us. So obviously there's a little supplemental help from the county and the city in that, and we do understand that. There are some things, if you look at that diagram right there, it's what's required for us, which is NFPA 1710 for us, what we need to respond to initial alarm of firefighting personnel. So this is what we're supposed to have when we start off fighting fires on a normal structure fire. So if you look at it, you know, I believe it's about 15 people. Well, you got to understand right now, the Hollister Fire Department, which provides service for everyone, has 12 people on duty per day, which is on the engines. Plus we have a chief officer that's on duty Monday through Friday. And then we have a battalion chief. So we can get 12, 13, 14 people there initially, but we do utilize mutual aid and auto aid contracts to help with that contract. So we do have contracts in place. And I was just informed by the chief, we need to continue to update those annually. But we do have one with the Aromas Tri-County Fire Protection District over on Aromas. And we do have one with the South Santa Clara County Fire Protection District or Fire Department, which is in the Pacheco Fire Station. And then we do have one with CAL FIRE that helps with that. So if you see Station 4 is one of the oldest in our inventory. It serves the western region of the county. And we serve auto aid and mutual aid also to Aromas Tri-County Fire Protection District on that 101 corridor. Plus, we'll go and assist Aromas with structure fires or wildland fires as needed too, as well as they provide for us. So in addition to that, we'll provide soft coverage or we'll do a hard coverage depending on what they request, and it's mutual too. So if we have an incident, we need some help, they'll either come to our station or they'll provide coverage for the west end of the county from Aromas also. With this station, it was upgraded a little bit. I want to say back in 13, there did do a little upgrades on there so we could provide full-time people in the fire station. So it did get upgraded a little bit. There's still a little more upgrades that we need to get. Like we had got some quotes for the garage door for Polk Street. For that bay door to get one single door, it's kind of narrow, so we can't fit 2 apparatus in there. But getting one solid door that opens up 20 feet wide, we'd be able to fit 2 pieces of equipment a lot easier without hitting that center cultural. So we do have a quote with that. And we just need to figure out how we're gonna move forward with that. So we have to work to say, what do we need to do to get that door in? So we did have an engineer and we did have a garage door person come on out and give us a quote on that. What's real important is an emergency generator for this facility. I know back when we first brought this up, we talked about solar, but solar is not recognized emergency backup power per FEMA. So we'd have to look into getting a fuel fired generator, whether it be propane or diesel generator for that, because that is critical infrastructure. It's critical infrastructure. We do need to think about getting it secured to lock it up. We're doing our part to make sure the employees do keep that locked up and secure. We do want to keep it as safe as possible. It is critical infrastructure. In addition to that, I did get it was kind of nice. I did get a inquiry about, because we're also looking, since it is critical infrastructure, I had someone giving me a quote for a fire suppression system and a fire alarm system for that facility, because we don't want the fire station or city hall to burn down. But in that, the alarm company that gave me a quote says, hey, the old system that we have there is old and outdated and needs to be replaced. So this Precision Alarm is going to donate his work and the alarm system to get installed into San Juan. So you just have to monitor the service, but that's just a monitored fire alarm system that would be in City Hall and the fire station. At least we'll get quick notification. So we didn't get follow through with the fire sprinkler system, but the alarm system, that's just up to us or up to Dawn and the city to decide what they want to do. But we do have it donated to us, a full notification alarm system. They'll get donated to us, and you would just have to figure out the contract to continue on that service. Right now, we're looking at a new engine that needs to be purchased. So San Juan Bautista, we have to looking for the funds to do that. And I think that's all I have for right now. We could talk about other stuff like that. We have a couple things that are in the process, but that's like, we talked about our strategic plan, what it's about, and that's something we need to do as a department as a whole, just to be able to provide, it's a living tool that provides short-term direction, builds a shared vision, sets goals and objectives, optimizes the use of resources, with a SWOT analysis. So, and it gives the community priorities on what the department, so we're kind of unique because we're one department, but we provide for the three different agencies or jurisdictions, instead of being like a one department under the whole county. So, we're a contracted community. So we take a check. We use all the shareholders, which be the city of San Juan Bautista. We'd have to have the county, and then we have to have the city of Hollister, but then we're gonna have to buy from community members and business members too. So it's a little involved to get that, but it also helps to justify what our not wants and needs are, what the community needs are, and the community's priorities are. And those are some examples of community service program priorities, which is always number one: fire suppression, emergency medical service, technical rescue, hazmat, fire prevention. That's a big one. Domestic preparedness and response, fire investigation, public and EMS, and education.
We're almost there. Thank you.
This is just the internal stakeholders, some examples of what the internal stakeholders, so it would be what the department and the employees and the people here have decided what's important: fire suppression, emergency services, fire prevention, technical rescue, investigation, hazard materials, community education, and preparedness. So you see how they kind of match up and go with that. In addition, there's support services of the fire department. Support services, emergency management, vehicle maintenance, the IAFF, the local union, mutual auto aid departments, ambulance companies, whether we set up agreements with them, Star Cards, or contract with EMS, as well as Hazel Hawkins. We work with the state fire marshal, FEMA, support services administration, county communications, reserve/explorers is a big one, law enforcement, state and local OES, Cal OSHA, and if there's any others. So
Okay. Um,
And then that's where we decide with, check out with these critical issues and we find out where the service gaps are and what we can do to make it better and what we can do to provide a better service. So if there's any other questions, I'm here. And then Fire Chief Bob Martin Del Campo is also here now to answer any questions as needed.
So Chief, you serve the whole Western County from this station, correct?
Correct?
And I was hearing stories of maybe the county or other folks that you serve looking for services elsewhere. That would really impact us for sure, right? If you stop serving the county in this area?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I've heard, I haven't heard anything for sure, but there has been talk that they're looking back out at CAL FIRE to provide fire protection services. So I don't know how they would operate and how that would impact you, because we do, I mean, we do provide service, about $1.1 million worth of service to you guys for
Right.
$300,000. So what ideally we should do is find a way to close that gap a little bit better, to make it more, how do I say, presentable to our shareholders and stakeholders. Not saying, hey, we need you to come up with $1 million, but there's other things that we can do, you know, setting up your community service districts or your CSDs or your fire impact fees and stuff like that, to see what we can do to try to narrow that gap without doing a big financial impact on that, you know. So that's something that we'd have to sit down and try to look together to see what we can do to help to narrow that gap. I mean, CAL FIRE is a great fire department. They do provide a great service, but it's unknown where they would, how they would be able to work it out if they, and I heard they wouldn't even go into your facility, but I don't know that for a fact. So I don't know what they would charge or how that would impact the service for the residents of San Juan Bautista.
Okay, thank you. And then if you could just walk us through, I think a great example of what the fire department does was on display 2 months ago at the San Juan School. Could you just talk about that event a little bit for us?
I can. So we had a wind event that was going on, and that whole incident was just a great incident that happened. It was not good that it happened, but the way it ran out played out well because it involved the whole community. We understand that we can't do it ourselves. It takes community as a whole. So I remember talking with school maintenance, hey, exactly what happened. And what he heard was the teachers and the kids said, hey, we heard an explosion. We heard a pop. We looked, we saw a fire. So teachers, students, and maintenance workers immediately pulled the alarm and evacuated the school, and they opened up the gate to everywhere. So with that, we knew automatically where that fire was behind the San Juan School. They opened up the gate and gave us access right away initially. So with the wind, that was a wind-driven fire, and it was started by, I believe it was a broken power line that hit and arced and broke off in there in the back of the school. So that started a quickly wind-driven fire that spread towards the Mission RV park. So it was a great team effort because we automatically started off with CAL FIRE to initial because of where the location is, consider that state responsibility area. So they came out. So we ran it under a unified command with CAL FIRE and Hollister Fire, which involved the sheriff's deputies to help with traffic control and evacuation, as well as CHP too, because we had people positioned at the school, in the creek area behind it, at the residence behind the school, and then we had people stationed, fire crews on 156. So with that, we did get the support from CAL FIRE to bring in some aircraft to help knock it down because structures were threatened. So they were able to justify that, and it costs a lot of money to get them, and it takes a lot for them just to be able to deploy air resources. But at this point, they help to justify it by saying, hey, we haven't had anything, we need some training, so we're going to call it a training. So that was their justification to get out here, to come out here to help us out, to do some good airdrops to help suppress it. So that was great on their part. That way we wouldn't get stuck and we wouldn't have to foot the bill. So I mean, we're really grateful that that happened. And once we got out there, we got the news media, got everyone in there, got under control. it took a lot of overhaul and PG&E to get in there, as well as tree trimmers to get in there. So thankfully, the whole community that was involved, helped to mitigate it and all chipped in to take care of that problem. And we had the whole service, we had every engine from the city and the county there that we had, plus we utilized Aromas Tri-County, which did an outstanding job, South Santa Clara County, which did another outstanding job with that, because everyone held their divisions that they were at and worked hard to keep that, because the wind played a key factor in making this spread, and it was a pretty windy day, and we had a wind event that was coming up, and we were afraid of it getting across and getting into the mobile home park with that part. So everyone did a great job, did hard work. They got their butts kicked, but everyone put in like it's their own piece of property. That's how everyone cares about it. So we appreciate that.
Thank you. Let's see. Am I locked up or is Rachel locked up? Is everybody locked up?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think I froze for a little bit. At least Scott appears to be frozen. There's Rachel. Hey, Rachel, did you want to ask the committee if they had questions?
Okay. This is quite, for me, it's quite an eye opener that so much was involved in that fire. I was out of town, and so and my son was sending us pictures because he happened to be there at the school site, getting ready for a volleyball game that had to be canceled. So I'm really glad to hear that so many entities work together to help out the fire. Does anybody else have any questions or comments about the presentation and the information shared?
You're too quiet, Scott. You're a fiery guy. Scott's a good guy to have on here.
Oh, I was across the street watching it. I think it went well.
Really well. That's the main thing that our fire chief did at the time, was to implement these auto aid and mutual aid agreements with our local jurisdictions. I mean, we're still working on Gilroy, but we have Santa Clara County and Aromas and Cal Fire. So those are our closest neighbors as it is. So it's a great working relationship, because we know we're an island, San Juan's an island, and we know we can't do it on our own. So we do know and understand that it takes the help from our local agencies, and we provide it to them also. So it's definitely a team effort that it takes to provide fire service, and we do have to get creative because we are a small community, farming community.
Anyone else have a comment?
I do, Rachel. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Last meeting, Rachel was indicating that it could have been, they heard the pop. Was it PG&E's issue, or what was the cause of that fire?
I believe PG&E did claim responsibility for that.
Okay.
They have overgrown trees that
Okay.
touched and arced wires, is from my understanding.
So they'll have to pay for that? Is that they'll have to pay for the fire service out there, or how does that work?
We didn't charge for it, so we're not charging. I mean, we as a community, pay for our taxes, and that pays for that. If there was something negligent, I mean, there is something that can be, but we didn't charge for services on that. Cal Fire gave us fire services, so I mean, they understand that part. I mean, but there is certain things that we do charge, and we will do cost recovery, like excessive false alarms is something that will definitely cost recovers. If someone keeps abusing the system, it's a hindrance on the 911 system. So anything over 3 times in a year, we have been starting to charge for false alarms with that, because it is a hindrance on the 911 system. But if there's negligence, or if there's a crime, property damage, yeah, depending on the investigation, or arson, we can go after the people that did start it. But this wasn't something that was done on purpose, and I believe they went and trimmed everything and got everything back up in service.
That's what we want.
Yeah, and I think the insurance companies would take care of that too. Like,
All right.
for instance, if it was something, they would probably go through them to figure it out.
Yeah, okay. And the one prior to that in town, in San Juan, where a transmitter also blew, was that their, did they take responsibility for that or not?
Well, okay, so the transformer fire, that's very common when that happens, when you get the first moisture throughout there. So it's a big show, but it's very common what happens when you get a little bit of dust on there with the electrical current. It does cause transformers to blow when they have those fires. So the best thing to do for that, and everyone was totally safe, is to just, back up and let it burn until PG&E gets there. We never want to
Okay.
put fire up. We never want to put water on it. We just want to secure the area and isolate it.
Oh, okay.
Safe for everybody else. So if it takes the whole time to burn down until it burns down, then that's what it'll take. As long as we have a good, safe, secure area to keep everyone safe. That's the only thing that we can do and we will do, because we don't want to get our people shocked from that or killed from that. So it's just for a pole, and we're not going to risk anyone's lives for a pole. It did knock out power, but that's something that's common, that happens all the time, usually during the first rains or the first moistures. It ignites the dust, and that's just something that happens all over California.
Oh, thank you. That's good to know.
Yeah, so
Good to know.
next year you'll say, hey, it's getting moist, or first moisture, and then you'll start to see all these power pole fires.
Okay,
That's
good.
common.
And my colleague, Mrs. Ponce, said that we have a unique town, and she was wondering if the police, if the fire department could get familiar with our town. Like, some of the houses don't have addresses; they're facing the wrong way. Is that a possibility or no?
Well, the fire department is very involved with that community and very involved with any fire service or code enforcement violations. I'm there weekly, and then we have the fire department there also. So right now we're conducting our state mandated SB 1205 inspections, which is every year we have to inspect every apartment complex, duplex, triplex on up, and then
Okay.
any schools,
Okay.
any hotels, motels. So that happens every year. So I'll be bringing this to the council board to give you my report on saying how many I got done or how many I didn't and why I didn't get it done. With
Okay.
that though, we're finding like apartment complexes, and I just went and did hotel inspections over there where
Okay.
they'll have to get their 5-year sprinkler test and their alarm test. And the apartments and duplexes, we are finding some that don't have addresses, and we're letting them know, hey, you need to get an address big enough so we can see it with opposing colors, so we can help to find you. So for the most part, pretty much people are pretty receptive of it, and they don't realize it, because you got to understand, when we're coming on a fire engine at night and we're up a little high, we want to make sure we can see your address. We don't want to take time to try to look for it, help us to help you, and units and everything like that. And we do have a robust weed abatement program that we do have there, and every year that it comes through there, and we continue through that throughout the year also. So if we see some overgrowns, we see some illegal burns, everyone's proactive, and everything that's going on in the city of San Juan Bautista, anything that's building, it comes through us also. So we're well involved.
All right. Thank you. Well,
If there's
and
complaints or anything, or something you might think it's a fire hazard, you can just call our office and we'll go out there and we'll inspect it.
cool.
We do that all the time.
And question, now that we passed the ordinance, or well, not the governor with the ADUs, are you gonna go out there and figure out, like, my neighbor has an apartment above his garage and does not have an address. So, you wouldn't know that if the apartment was going on fire. Are you guys going to go out there and validate those addresses, or is that us, or how are we going to do that?
So that's the whole process. I mean, ADUs have always been something, and they've always been there. It's just a requirement that we're supposed to be able to have it. So what we do is we'll come to a call, or we'll try to call code enforcement. So we need to get them compliant, not necessarily to shut them down, but we get them through the process to get these. So right now they're probably non-conforming legal structures, or legal or illegal or non-conforming. So we got to work with the homeowners without displacing people to try to keep them as safe as possible. So we don't know where they're all at, but it takes the community to work and let us know where they're at. And then once that it goes through the whole process through planning, building, and the fire department. Law.
Good. No, I don't want to shut them out and I don't want to displace them, but
Yeah.
I just want addresses so you know where they're at. If
Yeah.
there's an emergency.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll take communities help too, because a lot of the times we'll find out where addresses are after we have an incident, and then we'll come on scene and then we'll say, oh, we have a residence up here. Oh, we have a living unit over here. Oh, there's a big
All
code
right.
enforcement disaster, or heaven forbid, there's some life safety issues. We need to red tag it because it's just not safe for them to stay there on some of the
All
things.
right.
We're not
You had a great presentation. Thank you. Thank you for answering my questions. You love fire. You know, you're spot on. Thank you.
we love our community and we're a part of this.
Thank you.
community, so we enjoy it.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yolanda. David, do you have some comments or questions? Can you unmute yourself?
Oh, yeah, here we go. Yep, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was, great presentation, really appreciate that. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. I like the way you had it diagrammed off, but one of the things that you spoke of was you talked about Hollister Fire, you talked about Aromas. Is there a service map that you have or a diagram that shows where your service, how it works? We were talking about how the state CAL FIRE or whatever helps you out in that. Is the city has for itself a map that they can use as to where to go where we need the service? And also if we're trying to put things in motion as far as between Hollister and the county and what have you, how do we come together to list the things that we need to help whatever services we need for San Juan Bautista? What are those things that we need and what are the monies that we need for that? And how can we support that? And where do we go get the money? Is there an action plan that we have in place to bring forth whatever services that we need for our community and how it ties in with the other services that are throughout the county?
So the Hollister Fire Department, we provide for the whole county. And what needs to be done is we need to do a standards of coverage where it tells us where our zones. Ideally, we want to get there within 5 minutes of 911. So in this area, the only really dead zone that we do have is San Juan Oaks area, because that's kind of like right in the middle of San Juan Bautista, our Station 2 at Union and Airline, Station 3 at the airport, and Station 1 down here. So we need to be able to conduct the standards of coverage, which has the feasibility, which in addition, as the strategic plans, where it helps to justify it. It helps to identify where our strengths and where our weaknesses are and what we can do to help close that gap and to get some more money to be able to provide that. So you got to understand, we're not looking for the big Taj Mahal fire department. We just want to provide a basic service for you. That's why we're trying to do everything that we can do to be able to provide the basic service. Like we said, we have we started out with 1 full-time person at San Juan Bautista, and then we went to 2, now we have 3, a captain, an engineer, and a firefighter. So in addition to that, we need to bring back our numbers on our reserve program and our explore programs, which don't replace, but they help to supplement staffing. And in addition to that, basically funding. It's all about funding, what we can provide. So we need to be able to get the funding so we could be sustainable. I mean, those are different plans, and it takes money to be able to run those standards of coverage and those studies and strategic plans. So we have to get creative and we have to make sure we have agreement, because we can't just say, hey, we're going to make you guys pay for it, or we're going to make someone. We got to take it to all 3 different boards: the City Council of San Juan Bautista, City Council of City of Hollister, and the Board of Supervisors to bring this to you. But it's not something that we're neglecting. I mean, I have the chief here that's going to be taking over the reins again now that he's back. He did a tour of duty for 9 months, activated in the military. So he's been well involved with it the whole time. So I'm trying to break him in easy on that, but he does know what needs to get done with this, because we just want to serve the community and as efficiently as possible, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't, We don't like paying any more taxes or anything, but there's certain things that we need to do.
Yeah, I would just like to think that we use the city's name, San Juan Bautista, to help with funds, you know what I'm saying? When it comes, and you guys being the experts, telling us where we need to go with the funds and how the city's name itself can help with the funds when it comes to the state, when it comes to federal, what have you. And I'm sure Don's on top of that too as well.
And I believe the city of San Juan Bautista just hired a grant writer, correct, or consulting with that. So that might be something that we're gonna have to work
Right.
with there to help capture some of those funds. To see
And the
what-
new infrastructure bills and what have you is coming down from federals.
Yeah, even
So
the
it's-
station, you know, getting the station updated, you know, a new
Yeah.
fire station. That's something, because that's critical infrastructure. If the fire station burns down or if the fire station goes down in an earthquake, what good are we if we have no facilities or engines, you know?
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a few comments on the last slide of the critical issues and service gaps. There's one that I spoke about earlier. Is the external communications. Like I said, I wasn't in town when the fire was behind the school, but the comments that I got from several different people was that they were concerned that the fire engine that responded went to the soccer field and then had to reroute to be able to get to the fire. And I know that there's been a concern about that. And I was wondering, how do you go about training the firefighters to know the community well enough to be able to know the shortest route to the fire?
So you gotta understand, this was a big fire that set fast. So there was no delay in service. They do know the area very well. They gotta investigate to go see where it's going, where the fire is going. So it depends where the head of the fire is and where it's going. They want to stop it there, depending on where it's going. So they didn't know at the time if it was starting in the soccer field, but they know exactly where to go at the school. The school opened it up for them. So if you look and if you check out, you'll see our community, our fire department frequents the San Juan School to train there. So we'll train throughout the community in that area. So it's not just the San Juan people, because we rotate our people throughout there. So you got to understand. So San Juan is our district, so we better know it. So we know a lot of things. We have keys there. We do know our district, and we do take the input of the community also. So there was no delay in service, and they're very comfortable on what they do. So you got to do a 360 of what's going on before you go right to the head of the fire. We don't want to tunnel in just right to be the moth to the flame. We got to get a good full 360 to see what we have, and then jump in there and go attack the fire.
And
So-
if I may interject to piggyback along with what Chief Padola was saying. So instead of us going to the moth, like a moth to the flame and hitting directly onto the fire, what happens, we find ourselves chasing the fire and getting it, acres or miles down the road. While with a good size up and circling around the fire, we can head it off. So as it comes to us, we can head the fire off and compartmentalize it and extinguish it just before it causes any greater damage. So a lot of times you're going to see either a battalion chief or the engine anchor into a place, and you'll see firefighters scouting out around it to stop it and contain it. So if there's a misconception that our firefighters were rerouted because they weren't target on, it's mostly a misconception, because our folks do know area familiarization. It's the first thing that they do when they get into the fire service and get into this uniform. They go from fire station 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, so they know everything about that area, and they can provide accurate and adequate service as the incident occurs, so we could give good mitigation. So when you got good mitigation like that, you're gonna see us scrambling around to try to contain it and keep it into this one confined area. I hope that helps explain.
And the San Juan engine, just for your information, they put themselves in harm's way as well as Aromas. So as soon as that engine got there, after patrolling and investigating and seeing where the fire was at, they put themselves in harm's way because they put themselves right behind the school and the fire. So they put themselves right between the school and the fire to put their stop there. And if you look where they ended up at, it was where the wire blew. So they took a stand to put themselves to protect the school right between the fire and the school in the back of the school with that. And then Aromas put themselves right at the head of the fire to protect that house. We had 2 people from Aromas that put themselves right at the head where the fire was going right at them. And those people put themselves in harm's way too. So they did a fantastic job, and kudos to them. Every one of them should be getting a Heroes Award for what they did. The wind, the guys were 40 to 50 miles an hour that day and just blowing. So these guys and gals were very, very worked, and I'm very happy that we had no medical emergencies for the amount of work that these people did. So they put themselves, like I said, in between the fire, and like I said, our number one goal, number one priority is protection, life, property, and the environment. And it's not one or we treat them all the same. Life is still property, number one priority, but property and environment are still right there too. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does. And it's not in any way to say that you guys aren't doing a good job and we're not grateful for that. But I think that there needs to be more communication within the community so they have a better understanding of the fires. I mean, you guys are firefighters, you know what you're doing, but that doesn't mean that people that were watching the fire from across the street at Windmill or the post office, I mean, you know, what they saw concerned them.
Yeah,
And,
you gotta understand, we're pretty transparent, but everyone armchair quarterbacks. So, you know, we could tell Don how to run a city, they could tell Scott how to run his household, you know, everybody armchair quarterback, but there's a reason and there's a method to our madness. So we're just coming out of COVID. We're coming out of COVID. We do have a robust educational program, and it's been kind of limited at this time. So we're more than welcome to educate, and we do get involved. I mean, it's up to the community to come to us too, because we do go to the Fire Safe Council. We do go to these these other committee meetings that they do have there, and we're always open for and we are transparent. We are open for questions, comments, concerns. If not, you could always call myself or the fire chief also, or we're usually have our phones 24/7, and we're always monitoring any calls like that. So if anyone has any questions or concerns, just come to us, ask us. We don't have to post it on Facebook, but if you want to go to the source, come to us and we'll explain it to you. We'll talk to you about it, or we'll even tell you what's going on. We have no problem with that.
okay, I've got a question. Can you explain to me how you use the reserves?
Well, the reserves right now, they've all graduated and got hired everywhere else. So now that COVID's over, or not over, but getting in a better position. So we'll utilize, what we do is we train them in the fire academy that we have, a local one. We get them up to stuff, because you got to understand that we started as reserves, paid call, or volunteers also. So that's how we got started. So it's kind of a great program, because you get them right here, you see if they're interested in it. We train them, we decide if they want to go to the firefighter 1, EMT, and they decide from there if they want to advance. So they start getting in there and learning how to work in the department, and it's great. And once we start hiring, because it's great if we hire reserves, because we've invested a lot of money and time in them. And if they already know the community, they're invested in the community, it's a lot easier and a lot better for us to hire reserves into the firefighters if they're successful. And what we do is we train them to be successful in anywhere they go. So what's happening is we're training our reserves, we're picking them up, or they're being successful in those departments. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. We'll train them for ourselves, but then they go and they seek employment elsewhere also. So
Once they get certified with us, we actually swear them in at City Hall and they become reserve firefighters, and they're gonna be the fourth person on the engine. So as our engines rotate out and go on calls, if a reserve firefighter is scheduled to work by their own volunteer to schedule to work a 24-hour shift, they're gonna go on a call with that active fire engine, and usually they'll be the primary patient person, they'll be the nozzle person, they'll do everything that a firefighter does with close supervision from the full-time guys, because we understand that they're only doing this part-time, but we still got to keep very, very close and cautious scrutiny over them so they don't injure themselves or they don't injure somebody as they're performing their service. So in a nutshell, they will be used as a regular firefighter. However, they're not exposed to this job 365 days out of the year, like Chief Bedolla and I and all the other guys that are on staff. But they get a bird's eye view and a close-up view of what's required of being a firefighter.
And we saw the importance of the reserve or paid call or volunteer program. And Martin Del Campo started the Explore program. So that way we could capture them at a lot younger. So the idea was they could start at 12, 13, and then 18 transfer over to our reserve program where they could start working towards a full-time position. So we saw the need that, hey, we're providing for the community. So, and in our Explorer program and our reserve program, they'll train at every one of our stations, and they could do a ride along at any one of our stations. That way they know the whole community also. So they need support that they know all of our equipment and all of our stations. So it's kind of like a promotional process. You got to start off as the intern, then you get hired on as the part-time employee, then you get onto the full-time position is what the ultimate goal is.
So when, okay, I'm not clear on this one. So you may hire a reserve as a part-time employee, is that what you said?
That's pretty much what a reserve is, a part-time employee, because they have their jobs in their life. We can't depend on them, but if we need them, we'll page them out and then they'll come in. But we got to make sure they're trained up to this minimum standard before we send them out there, because we want to set them up for success and we don't want to put them in harm's way if they're not ready. Or we don't want to put them in danger by not having them have all their training done.
Do you ever use a reserve as a substitute? I mean, at a certain level in their studies? No? Okay.
No, we don't use them to substitute. We use them to supplement staff, but we don't use them to replace staff. That's MOU agreements and everything, contracts and employee standards. We have a minimum staffing that we have to keep on the engines, and that's per the MOUs, their contracts, and we do but we can have as many as we want if we have them on the engine.
Right.
We want to train them. We want them to be successful. We want them to get hired. We want them to work in the community they serve in or go on and get their dream job like we did. So we'll do everything we can to make them successful.
They're very, very important when it comes to fire season, because what happens is the governor will declare an emergency incident, say in Sutter County, and they want one fire engine from Hollister Fire Department. So they'll be deployed out of Station 1 with 3 full-time firefighters, and we'll get a reserve and we'll supplement them with the 4th. That experience that they get is huge, because it's between 7 to 21 days camping in the boondocks, putting fires out for 12 hours a day. That firefighter, whether he's a student or if he works a full-time job, or if he just is, a stay-at-home parent, they're going to know if they want to do this from that experience that they gleaned on that strike team deployment. Very critical. And I want to do this year, we're going to do a mass hiring and try to get as many applicants as we can possible, especially now that, the COVID situation has kind of leveled off, because now we'll be able to have one-on-one training with these candidates, and we'll be able to have the academy force that we badly need in this department.
In addition, we as a department, we did attain a grant from the AT&T, the Monterey Bay Foundation, they gave us a grant for a training facility. So we ended up building a 4-story training facility out at our sewer ponds, where it's centrally located at 156 and San Juan Road, right there. So with that, now that we're opening up, we'll be able to invite council members to come in and say, hey, let's put on some turnouts. Let's put on a BA. Let's go fight fire. We can show you exactly what a firefighter does do. So we'll be inviting you. If you want to go fight fire now, we do have the controlled environment. Well, we'll be able to send you up in the first floor, in a Class A fire, in a Class B fire. We even have burn rooms that we're setting up right now for fire investigation. So that's something that's centrally located in this area that we did acquire because we're a regional fire department. So that was the great thing about it. They gave us $800,000.
Yeah.
$800,000 to build this facility. So it's a real top of the line facility, and we're going to be able to have, and we'll be able to train our reserves and our explorers at this facility, as well as our arson investigation team at this place. So now that we're moving forward, and I hate to keep bringing it up, the COVID, we'll be able to do a groundbreaking and a ribbon cutting at this facility, because we've probably had it about a year, but now it's time to start showing it off and being proud of it.
Yeah, we really want to celebrate it and highlight it, because it wasn't money that was just given to us. We had to earn it. The Monterey Peninsula Foundation made us earn this, but they seen the necessity behind us having a training facility like this, because this was something that this department, this jurisdiction, San Benito, San Juan Bautista, and Hollister badly needed, so we can provide safe and accurate service to the community.
And honestly, the days of going and training at an empty lot are over. So the San Juan Fire Station will come in and they'll train at the training facility with a live fire while we have someone covering right there while they're doing the training. So that way everybody throughout the county maintains their minimum training. We could do group trainings with our other neighboring agencies. So that's something, and even the academies, the local academies could utilize it also. So it's always there for the college academies that want to come in there, and then our reserves and our explorers and our department personnel. But we're gonna set something up so we can run council members, board members, city community members through this academy if they want to see what the fire service is about. I'm excited about that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any more comments or questions?
I do. I've had my hand up. Thank
Oh,
you,
sorry.
Rachel Ponce. That's fine. That's cool. Marshall Badola, you said that we have a chief in San Juan Bautista?
We have a
Am I-
fire chief. We have a fire chief, we have a fire marshal, and then we have people on there throughout the day. We have an on-duty fire chief that takes care of the battalion chief that's responsible for the whole county in that area. So if we get someone, we have someone on 24 hours a day. In addition to that, we have overhead staff that are always available also.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so you have a chief in Station 4?
We have a captain, an engineer, and a firefighter. Me as
Okay.
a fire marshal, I frequent San Juan a lot, so I'm out there through my inspections and different building projects that I'm out there a lot.
Okay, so we don't have a chief, just a captain.
So you have a chief of the department, and then you have battalion chiefs of the department that take care, the duty chiefs that take care of every one of the stations. So one chief is responsible for 4 stations daily. And then we have higher chiefs of the fire marshal that are responsible every day for San Juan Bautista also.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any more questions or comments? I see Leslie's back. You want to, do you have any comments or questions, Leslie?
Oh, I think.
Dawn, isn't she on?
Yeah, she is on. I do see her there. Well, I have a quick question. Maybe she's trying to find the mute button.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
she has- I don't think she has,
Oh, that could be. Chief Bedoya, we had a question come up from the Rancho Vista community about the fire safety of their interface with the ranch. And they opted for a wooden fence rather than a cinder block wall around the perimeter of that development. Is there any requirement that the property owner cuts those weeds 20 feet or 30 feet from that fence? Or is there anything you can do on your side to help with that concern?
So CAL FIRE does their defensible space inspections for the state responsibility area, where you need 100 feet of defensible space around your structure, and it can be improved to up to farther depending where you're at. So like San Juan Canyon would need more. They could always say that, hey, you need to do that. So they'll go out and they'll do their inspection. So I've been working on a weed abatement policy for the whole county, which would indicate, hey, so many, you'll have to do a plow line with brakes, depending on the size of it right now. But right now, the only things you have to do is the structures protect 100 feet, but we can't make somebody else plow their field if it's closer than 100 feet per the public resource codes, 4290 and 4291. But for the most part, when we do ask people and send them a letter, hey, can you plow your field, or can you plow this? Can you plow the fence line on this? 1 or 2 tractor plow lines, then they're pretty receptive on there. So a lot of times that's where we need the community's help, because we go in there and we identify certain lots, certain places in the city limits, even outside the city limits. So we can require people or send them letters also to work on that. So that's kind of something that I've been working on. And I don't say it's low on the priority, because it is raining a lot more, but it's something that's gonna it's gonna cause a lot of talk that's going on. But you know, we've just transitioned over a 1-year fire season. You know, it's been coming to that point. So it's kind of I hate to say it, but it's kind of the necessary evil that we're gonna have to graduate to. And you got to understand, so just because we say something is fire safe, the insurance companies by law can make you do more than that. So we can't oversee, just because insurance company says you need to do that, we can't overstep our boundaries, because the insurance company has more authority than us to make you more fire safe. So a lot of people will say, well, the fire department said it's okay, but by law, that's a state statute that the insurance company can require stricter requirements. So a lot of people are seeing that, and a lot of people are uninsurable right now just because of all the fires. So that has nothing to do with us. Although we are in a ISO evaluation that's going on right now, and it has been going on. So hopefully we can get within the 5 miles, and it depends if there's a water source. So I just got a letter not too long ago that they didn't want to insure some Rancho Vista, but they have their own water source. They're within 5 miles. So we're trying to work on ISO on that. That way they can get them insured and not have to go under the California Fair Plan,
Okay.
which is a generic low limits insurance plan that they're giving people that are out of the insurable areas.
Thank
I hope that
you.
answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. So, so will you be sending the ranch a letter for us, or do you need a written request, or?
You know, if someone gets this, is it the San Benito cattle?
No, it's an Island Herefords, Manning property,
Send us the address, we can send them a letter, hey, get a plow line, but right now it's been raining,
right?
so I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that it's safe right now.
Yeah, okay, thank
We could
you.
look at it in the future and get it ahead of time when we start doing it in March. I mean, we're already coming at the new fire season, already looking forward to next year. Because we start off in February, March.
Rachel, the mayor,
And remember, that's grazing land that a subdivision encroached on. So everybody be careful.
That's somebody's
Yeah.
livelihood.
And that's kind of where we can say fence lines. So CAL FIRE has a fence lines initiative that they're talking about also. So, and maybe breaks in between. I mean, we could get them by saying, hey, you want to protect your fence line if it's next to a roadway, and do a couple breaks to protect your cattle too. But the grazing land, yeah, we don't. And even during the weed abatement process where people are growing feed, they're exempt from that.
Yeah.
So we have to wait until they cut it and it's ready to cut for the hay fields. So we understand that, and we knew that part, and we work with them. So a lot of times people will come up to me and say, that's a fire hazard, and I'll go and evaluate it. I'll know it's not a fire hazard. I had someone talk to me about a tree that was a fire hazard. And they said, that's a fire hazard. You need to mitigate that. So I went and evaluated it and I said, okay, if this is a fire hazard, I'm gonna have to go to every one of these residents and let them know they need to trim and cut all their trees because the whole community is in violation. So a lot of times, you know, people think it's a fire hazard, but it's not a fire hazard. We'll go out and evaluate it and determine if it is or not. So we're very comfortable with those decisions on what's a fire hazard and what's not a fire hazard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Leslie, do you want to come in?
Leslie's unable to
Leslie-
speak.
Yeah, Leslie just told me to tell you guys that she has no comments at this time.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for the presentation. It was very informative. I really appreciate you taking the time to inform us and get us to know more about your services. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us. And I'll send out Bob, Chief Bob's email so you can get in contact with him with anything you need.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And we're gonna have to take off because we have a council meeting that we're gonna head to now also, so we appreciate it. If there's anything else done.
Nope, that's good. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Good to see you, Bob. Welcome home.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okey doke. So Leslie, do you want to take over?
I don't think she can. She can't speak at all, Rachel, according to the text.
Okay. Okay, we can go back to the review of the notes of the October meeting. Does anyone have any comments or questions about the notes? I guess they're kind of like minutes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, they're not scheduled for adoption or anything.
No comment.
Okay, good. Scott?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
Okay, Yolanda?
No, I have no comments at this time. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Veronica and Don for the notes on the October meeting. Okay, next on the agenda is Office of Emergency Service update.
Thank you, Rachel. I have a few slides here because this came up at our last meeting. I don't know if you recall. But wanted to know more about the Office of Emergency Services, and coincidentally, Manager Chris Mangano was set to present the status of their work to the City Council the next day. So, they did a great presentation and brought us up to speed on several things. And now they're also putting out a newsletter, and these are some excerpts from the newsletter, focus on exercises. So Thursday, November 4th, Samuel Bautista was invited to participate in an exercise, and I'll talk about that a little bit in detail. They're offering these training sessions, these free training sessions. This one is partnered with the Monterey County Office of Emergency Services. That's what OES stands for. And then they're working with this group, Haggerty Consulting, on our hazard mitigation plan. So our last one was adopted in 2015, needs to be updated every 5 years. There is a section in that plan on pandemics, and I've referred to it more than once. So it is something that we do. This discussion of the training is great. These are sometimes all-day events, and it can be taxing on our little staff, but we do our best to stay in touch. Because when we went through the exercise with them, the code enforcement officer, Rich Brown, and I, it was clear that as Scott commented at the last meeting, that we need to be at the table. we can't just assume that because Hollister Fire is there and the sheriff's office is there, that San Juan Bautista is being represented. The scenario they gave as we participated in this Zoom exercise was distributing water after a huge earthquake, and the huge earthquake was on the Hollister Fault, but was centered in Santa Clara County. But what ended up happening was a tsunami warning in Monterey County, pretty much isolating our county to respond on its own. And it was interesting to hear how they rolled out water in particular to critical spots that they had identified across the county. And I was able to interject and point out to them that we rely on gravity feed for about 1 million gallons of water in our tank. And that maybe we have a unique situation, and maybe a broken pipe or two from an earthquake would not necessarily shut our water down. And so we were at the table during this exercise, which is so important because especially when it comes to water distribution after an earthquake, we have a very different role to play than the rest of the region. Basically we have emergency generators that we can fire up our pumps and we can fill that tank and then gravity feed the community. So as long as that main pipe coming from the tank to the city is open, then we should be able to get water to our community. Even if it's just a big fountain at Abbey Park, there's something we can do. But they did identify San Juan School as a place to distribute water to people and to provide a comfort station. I was glad to see that the city was on their radar. And it's just an example of the training that's available to us, and just to reassure the safety committee that we are involved and we are engaged with them, which is really important. And just I forgot to mention, most importantly in my mind anyway, during the pandemic, the CAO came to meet with me in late February, and he told me where he thought we may be headed, and he was correct. And we were at every weekly meeting regarding the COVID-19 response. We are also involved in special enforcement meetings, which most of you know is a big headache for us during the summer last year. So we were at the table, and I felt like we were not forgotten. So I just wanted to share that with the committee because it came up in the last set of minutes and discussion. I'd be happy to answer any questions in that regard. If any of you have any questions about how we respond to emergencies or how we're invited to respond. There you go, Rachel. That's my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any comments or questions? I have one on, you said that San Juan School was identified as a place for water distribution. Would that also be like a shelter in case we needed shelter?
Right, that's a good question. Thank you. This specific exercise was about getting critical resources distributed. And so the example of the school on this exercise was just for getting those resources out. I do believe it is identified as a shelter, and we would have a special exercise just on shelters and sheltering. So that's how specific and detailed these trainings are.
Being that San Juan School is where it is there an alternative or a shelter in case of an earthquake?
The high school is a second alternative, but it's way out in Anzar, Anzar High
Yeah.
School. Road trip.
Okay,
You have to cross that same fault to get to it.
yeah,
And
Okay.
Rachel, I don't think, other than the gymnasium, I don't think San Juan School is earthquake retrofitted.
right.
They were
Yeah.
supposed to do it years ago and they decided to go solar, I guess. I don't know what they're doing, but their gymnasium's the only new building they have.
Yeah,
Good
I
question.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know what happened with the retrofitting because I know that they had a hard time figuring out where they could put the solar because of the fault.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on this? Okay, the next thing on the agenda is number 6, the path of travel. I like that.
I borrowed that from David. Right, so this is right out of our agenda. I had some questions on this, just to make sure that we're staying focused. Some of these things are obviously safety related, and then we will have the school superintendent come and speak to us. I let her know, we meet monthly, so I let her know of the invitation. We need to talk about animal regulation for sure. 9/11 NetCom was on the list. Leslie asked us to look at cameras, and I have a request for proposals from King City that I can share in the process and how we go about that. We have PG&E speaking to the city council tomorrow night. Again, asking questions about transformers and maintenance and what their plans are for our city. And then healthcare for seniors. I think all the services for seniors could be improved. Healthcare, as well as free legal services, as well as health screenings and so forth, would come through a senior center. So it's kind of more of a city's recreation department that would take care of that. So I don't know, I see Yolanda has raised her hand. Rachel, I'm happy to take notes and try and get some responses at our next meeting on some of these items.
Okay. Yolanda?
Hi, Don, isn't the mayor of King City awesome? Giving you all the quotes and stuff. Did you talk to him or did you talk to the city manager?
I talk to Steve Adams on a regular basis. We have a lot of, yeah, I agree. The mayor is awesome.
He's awesome. My granddaughter dates his son, and his brother was at my party, and he celebrating his birthday because it's the day before mine. But great man. What I would like to do is also put level 1 on the agenda. Is that possible, Don?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, Leslie had written me about having level 1 at our next meeting, our next guest speaker.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, because it's not on there. But yeah, maybe with these cameras, as it has in King City, it would reduce and deter a lot of things going on in our city.
Yes, there's a great potential there. And we have a local expert whom I spent about 90 minutes with maybe 2 months ago. And he just explained that the last time our city looked at it, that it's very expensive. It can be like $500,000 for a system. And so King City phased it in, as I recall. They brought it in chunks that they could afford annually. So we would need to consider a plan like that, I think. We'd also have to fund it incrementally over a 3-year period, something like that.
Could we have the mayor of King City on our agenda so he can explain how they did it? Because I spoke. He was very intuitive in everything. And I think having him on would enlighten us in the process of the cameras.
I can ask him. I can invite him.
Yeah, I'll get you. I asked him if he would do that, and he said he would. Just give him a month in advance so that he can plan, because he also works like Leslie as the mayor. So yeah, I think he would be a key speaker to speak about the cameras.
Okay, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone have any comments or questions? I just have one suggestion in asking the school superintendent to give us updates or be a guest speaker. If we could ask for a board trustee to also accompany her.
Okay, certainly. I'll add that to the list.
And on the healthcare for seniors, what information is out there for anyone that wants to get some information about seniors?
So the county public health department has an ombudsman, a senior ombudsman, who coordinates services and care hospice, visiting nurse association, and those types of things. And they're focused specifically on senior services. So it's more of a county function than a city function. I don't know how often they're able to come to our city or what the status of their service level is right now. But it's under,
Would it be possible to have a representative come in and give us an update on that, or even a presentation to the city council?
I think we may actually have an annual presentation regarding senior services on our council agenda. Let me talk to the deputy city clerk and find out who she works with for that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I got my hand up there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that was my question of what we needed to do for our agenda. Now, I brought up the healthcare for seniors, and that was a question that was brought to my attention as I was doing, going about the town, whatever I was brought to my attention when I was attending an open house for the Historical Society. So anyway, that was brought to my attention, but also we don't have, there was plans to put in a healthcare facility here in San Juan. And there were some attempts, and there were a time period in which there was a facility available, but I don't know where that stands right now. Is that something that's still in the plan for the city of San Juan Bautista to have a healthcare center for seniors? Whether it's hospice, whether it's a respite, whatever, or just a home where people can, seniors can get assisted care or what have you. Because I know that other counties have this, you can get it through the state, you can get it through the federal, what have you, to set things up. So is there any plan for San Juan Bautista to do that? In light of, there were plans in the past that seem to have gone away. That was my question.
Oh, thank you for the clarification.
Yeah,
The city itself does not have any plans, but the Community Health Foundation has bought the parcels across from Bolero, and they talk about a public health campus. It's not going to be just a clinic. It's going to be a campus with a variety of services there. So you could see a dentist, you could see a physical therapist. So I could inquire with Rosa Vivian Hernandez and find out if there's any emphasis on seniors at their facility. I haven't seen a site plan or heard from them in a while, so it's time to call them and follow up. That would probably be the best potential for something happening quickly.
okay. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on this path of travel?
Yeah, Don, I text you Mike LaBrea's number so you can get a hold of him.
Oh, great. Okay, great.
He's a nice guy. I really like him.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Yolanda.
That's all I have to say.
Okay, B of 6B, new ideas to add.
I think we got some new ideas. I think we're in good shape. Let's there more.
Okay. Okay, item number 7. The December 20th meeting. I think we have quite a few suggestions for agenda items.
Right, right. Yeah, that's more than one meeting full.
Will we have a presentation from level 1 at this meeting?
I will invite them.
Okay,
The direct-
when,
the direct-
if,
To invite them.
yeah, if we have a presentation, I think that we should keep the agenda short. So that way we don't go too long. That's just my suggestion.
Right. Try and keep it under 90 minutes for sure.
Okay,
Well,
anything else?
yeah, I would like to see a follow-up on today's presentation. What plans we're gonna put in place as far as fire service or here in San Juan Bautista. Is there something, is there a plan that we need to look at? And where we stand as far as how things are going to improve, or is there gonna be some repairs to the buildings and whatever services that we need to do to enhance it or to improve where we're at right now? What is the plan? Where are we going from here on the agenda? You know, I mean, hey, it was a good presentation. I think it opened our hearts and minds about what's needed for the city. And fire emergency, fire protection. You know, one of the things that I heard that was mentioned was the fact that we have this problem with these not generators, but these with electric poles catching fire, breaking wire during storms. But I didn't hear anybody talk about some kind of plan to prevent these things from happening. Seems like we're gonna have to live with that. But I would think PG&E has an answer for that. So that'd be one thing that I'd like to hear come back as far as fire prevention goes. What are some of the things PG&E is doing to prevent these things from happening? Didn't hear anything like that today.
No, we will hear that at council tomorrow. We're going to talk about undergrounding utilities and their plan and how that includes our city. So we'll have the council and the public can ask these questions tomorrow. And then I'm happy to bring that feedback to the safety committee for those who couldn't attend.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? So I think we're done.
Good job, Rachel.
Thank you all. I really appreciate your patience.
No, thank you for conducting the meeting, Rachel.
Yes,
you.
thank you. Very well done. Thank you.
Very well done. Thank you.
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
Oh,
Thanksgiving.
yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Meeting
ya.
Happy
adjourned.
Thanksgiving. Rachel, you did a phenomenal job.
Oh,
Hey,
You're alive.
Alive. Oh, my goodness. Watch out for the turkeys.
yeah.
All right, you guys,
Okay,
have a great evening. All
have a
right,
great
good night.
talk to you soon.
Good night.